The birth of Caldwell County was not an easy task. In 1839, a bill to form a new county in northwestern North Carolina, to be named Boone, was rejected by the state legislature. Nancy Alexander, county historian and longtime columnist for the Lenoir News Topic, states, "In here will I dwell."
When it did not pass the Senate, Representative Elisha P. Miller attributed its failure to the fact that Democrats in the Oxford precinct of Burke County opposed its passage. They wished to form two counties, with one county seat near Johns River or Wilson's Creek, and the other at Wittenberg or Cross Keys, thereby hoping to create two Democratic counties instead of one Whig county, as Caldwell later became.
Another bill was introduced by Representative Miller on November 19, 1840. It was read and rejected on December 5th. It was read a second time on December 14th. On January 11, 1841, the Speaker of the House, Robert Gilliam, cast the deciding vote. A new county was born in northwestern North Carolina. The county was named for Dr. Joseph Caldwell, the first president of the University of North Carolina. Caldwell County in 1841 was larger than today's county. Portions of Caldwell have since been taken on 4 different occasions to form new counties. Alexander County in 1847, Watauga County in 1849, Mitchell County in 1861, and Avery County in 1911. Approximately 25 of the justices of Caldwell County met on the first Monday in March of 1841 at George Powell's storehouse near present-day Lower Creek Baptist Church to organize the county government.
The justices were the men who had been serving as magistrates or esquires in the parts of Burke and Wilkes County that were now in Caldwell County. The body was officially called the Court of Pleas and Quarter Sessions, or more commonly, the County Court. These men were among the most influential of the landed gentry, each holding a lifetime appointment from the governor.
The county court was the governing body for the entire county. It probated wills and settled estates, cared for the poor, orphans, and illegitimate children, chose the officials, issued marriage bonds and all types of licenses, registered land transactions, appointed jurors, ordered the construction and maintenance of roads, kept the minutes of the court, settled divorce cases, addressed minor disputes, collected taxes, and was responsible for education. The county court elected a chairman, usually the leading citizen. Edmund Jones served from 1841 to 1844. William H. Dula from 1844 to 1845, and Samuel F. Patterson, a son-in-law of Edmund Jones, from 1845 to 1868. The Court of Pleas and Quarter Session system of government would be abolished in 1868 when a new state constitution was ratified. The act of the legislature that set up Caldwell County also directed that the site for the county seat be as near the center of the county as possible. The new town would be named for General William Lenoir. On the third day of their deliberations, the justices named commissioners to select a location for the county seat and to lay off town lots.
Several sites were considered. One faction favored the south side of Laurel Creek near present-day Whitnall for its scenic view, especially Grandfather Mountain. The commissioners also considered Powelltown the site of the first meeting in what is now the Laurel Creek community. Eventually they settled on the north side of Laurel Creek, near the area known as Tucker's Barn, where the population was denser. Tucker's Barn had long been used as a muster ground for the local militia and as a voting place.
The actual location of Tucker's Barn is believed to have been on present-day Norwood Street, close to the ancient beech tree, now showcased by a gracefully curved brick wall and sidewalk. In 1841, the barn site was owned by Thomas Lenoir. In 1845, he gave the property to his daughter Laura, wife of Joseph C. Norwood. Laura and Joseph Norwood built their home Barnfield on the site where the barn once stood. The Norwood's daughters thought the name Barnfield not stylish enough, so later the house became known as Oak Lawn until it was destroyed by fire in 1870.
The factor determining the site for the county seat was the generosity of two men, James Harper, who donated 30 acres of land, and Seth Bradshaw, who gave 25 acres. No buildings were on the site that was to become Lenoir, only forested rolling land, with several small wet weather creeks. A large ditch, or gulch, divided the town site. The main part of the town would be built west of the gulch.
James Harper had migrated from Fairfield, Pennsylvania, which is near Gettysburg, about 1829. He bought property near Tucker's Barn and built a house which he called Fairfield. He and his partner, William Wall, had a store, one of a chain of stores in the entire area.
The Harper store served as the post office and a stopping place for the stagecoach to change horses while carrying the mail from Morganton to Wilkesboro. Stage Street in Lenoir is part of the old stagecoach route. In addition to being a merchant, Mr. Harper also owned a large plantation. He employed many workers and owned several slaves. The slaves' quarters were on what is now Maple Drive in the town of Lenoir. James C. Harper, nephew of James Harper, newly arrived from Ohio, did the survey. When the survey revealed more land was needed on the western side of town, James Harper sold the town another 5.5 acres. The survey was completed in May of 1841. The plat had 48 town lots. There was an extra plot for a courthouse in the central square. The town limits extended approximately 1/2 mile from the central courthouse site.
The town was laid out 2 blocks in each direction. Each end street was called a boundary street. West Boundary Street still bears that name today. It's known simply as Boundary Street.
Under James Harper's influence, the layout for Lenoir was patterned after Gettysburg. There was a courthouse in the middle of the town square. Most of the town was built on land donated by James Harper.
James C. Harper's survey crew drove stakes in the corners of each lot. On June 2nd, all 48 lots were sold at auction, with William Hewitt, Jr. serving as auctioneer.
June 2nd, 1841 was an historic occasion for Caldwell County. Great crowds of people came from far and near to attend the celebration of Lenoir's inception. Speeches were made and a great picnic was held. James Harper purchased the first lot, where he erected his store and post office that was moved from his home at Fairfield. Later it became the site of the Bank of Lenoir. Nearby on his lot, he also built the first house in town.
The justices used the money from the auction to build a temporary log courthouse and to begin building a brick courthouse and a brick jailhouse.
The exact location of the temporary courthouse is unknown, but is reported to have been on the northwestern quadrant of the square. On July 24, 1841, the justices named 5 commissioners responsible for the construction of the permanent public buildings. In October of 1841, William A. Lenoir, grandson of General William Lenoir, donated an additional 5.5 acres on the outskirts of Lenoir. This land would assist Lenoir's future growth. The justices elected Elijah S. Moore as the first sheriff of Caldwell County. The sheriff was responsible for keeping order, running the jail, and collecting taxes. Helping him perform these duties were several constables, the county treasurer, and a jailer. As the county seat and only town in Caldwell County, Lenoir grew rapidly. By 1850, population was approximately 125. By 1850, Lenoir was thriving. It had a brick courthouse, a brick jailhouse, 2 brick hotels, 1 large log inn and tavern, 1 church, several wooden stores, and a variety of homes. The construction of the large brick 2-story courthouse was given to the firm of Clayton and Lyle of Asheville. They utilized some of their own workers as well as local artisans. The bricks were made from clay dug on the site. The courthouse was finished and in use by early 1844. The courthouse became the focal point of Lenoir. It stood in the center of town, facing north, where the 4 main streets met. It housed the Court of Pleas and Quarter Sessions, the District Court, and the Superior Court. Civic and fraternal organizations used it as a meeting place. Several denominations held services at the courthouse until they built their own churches.
In the center of the courthouse roof was a bell tower. It housed the bell now on display at the Caldwell Heritage Museum. The bell summoned people to court and warned of emergencies. The public well stood in the front yard of the courthouse.
Court Week was one of excitement for the village of Lenoir. Families coming for the occasion filled the town with wagons and camped on the streets or behind buildings for the term. At this time, there were only 2 courts held a year. The judges and lawyers rode the judicial circuit, going from town to town.
In 1905, the county built a new courthouse just north of the square. The old courthouse was razed. The 2-story brick jailhouse was built in 1844 on town lot number 19, facing South Main Street. The jailer and his family lived on the first floor. The 2 jail cells were on the second floor. A whipping post stood next to the jailhouse.
A jail was built on the corner of Present Harbor and South Main Streets, and near it was a whipping post which was described as a circular platform with a large central post. On the upper story circle were 2 pieces mortised through the central post, with holes to fit the neck and wrist when wedged down. White men were publicly whipped before immense audiences for stealing and for a few other offenses.
Columbus A. Tuttle, a son of Lucius M. Tuttle, wrote in 1923,
"In my imagination, I can almost see the old red whipping post as it stood there, a warning to evildoers. I have seen the men receive 39 lashes on their bare backs. I saw one man branded with the letter M in his hand. The iron was red hot and you could hear the flesh fry."
The jailhouse served the citizens of Caldwell County for more than 55 years. In 1900, it was replaced by a larger and more modern jail on the same site.
Most of the streets had been named by 1850. However, not all had been built. None of the streets east of the gulch, called Caney Branch, were built for another 20 years. The street now called Ridge Street was not built until the 1870s and in a different location from the one shown on an early map. The streets were dirt. They were passable in dry weather, but impassable in heavy rain. Residents of Lenoir lived much like living in the country. They kept livestock, maintained small garden plots. Their drinking water came from wells on their lots or from the well at the courthouse. Each lot had at least one outhouse. Transportation was by foot, horseback, or wagon. Most residents kept a stable on their property. Town lots 16 and 24 would later have livery stables.
Roads in rural communities were little more than trails. The able-bodied men living along these roads maintained them. The county court appointed road juries, with one of the residents designated as the foreman. The census of 1850 shows that Caldwell County has approximately 6,317 residents. Lenoir had many small businesses: 3 blacksmiths, 2 tanners, a carriage maker, 4 shoemakers, 2 tailors, a millwright, a saddler, several carpenters and masons, 2 lawyers, and 5 physicians.
The first doctor's offices were a room or small building, usually at the side of their homes. The office had an outside door for patients and another one for easy access to the residents. All doctors in the early days were considered surgeons. They were almost forced into such procedure since there was no one else capable of performing amputations. which were done fairly often to prevent death by infection or blood poisoning of a limb.
Most doctors mixed their own medicines, usually herbal remedies which were acquired from local merchants and farmers.
Doctors set broken bones, treated ulcers, abscesses, gunshot wounds, fractures, hernias, pulled teeth, and helped midwives in difficult obstetrical cases. There were no transfusions. There was no anesthesia to dull pain, and no antibiotics. Sometimes whiskey was used to stupefy patients.
The stores in the town were general stores, selling a variety of merchandise, with Harper's store being by far the largest. Wagon drivers traveled as far as Charleston, South Carolina, to secure goods for local merchants to sell. Half the lots purchased during the auction in 1841 were still vacant in 1850. Many lots had been purchased by speculators hoping to profit from Lenoir's growth. On town lot number 1, Robert B. Bogle and Cornelius W. Clark had a store in a brick building built by Lucius M. Tuttle. Tuttle's Hotel stood on lot number 2.
On Lot 3, Elisha P. Miller operated Miller's Inn and Tavern.
James Harper's store and post office were in a wooden building on lot number 4. His nephew, James C. Harper, ran the store and lived in a house on the same lot. Major G.W.F. Harper would later name that house Heart's Ease. Joseph M. Bogle and Wiley Gaither ran a store on town lot number 7.
The Ballou family ran a store and had their home on Lot 8. Peter Johnson operated a grog shop out of his wooden building on Lot 9. John S. Small had a saddle shop on Lot 10. Miss Emma Baker, a school teacher, lived in Hillside Cottage on Lot 11. Dr. Larkin G. Jones and his family resided on Lot 13. Town Lot 14 is believed to have contained a row of small wooden buildings which housed a variety of small businesses, ranging from stores to blacksmith shops. The Albert E. Hagler family operated a tailor shop out of their home on Lot 15. Construction began on St. James Episcopal Church in 1849 on Lot 17. The congregation still worships in the building, although it has been remodeled several times through the years. Dr. Thomas P. Dean lived on Town Lot 22. Sidney P. Dula resided on Lot 25. Lot 26 had James Stamey's home. Andrew Warlick lived on Lot 28. Wiley Gaither and family lived on Lot 35 in a house built by Dr. Avery Powell. The Methodist Church, organized in 1846, occupied the upper part of Town Lot 41. Today, the First Methodist Church stands on the lower part of the same lot. Town Lot 44 contained the large brick Mansion House Hotel built by William Davenport. Finally, an unknown tenant lived on Lot 45 in a house built by George Conley. In 10 years, the town had grown westward toward Fairfield and northward toward Possumtown, today called Valmead. Growth eastward was slowed by the Gulch. Expansion to the south was impeded by the Norwood Plantation and the lands owned by the Lenoir family.
Lenoir was officially incorporated on January 28, 1851, by an act of the North Carolina legislature. The size of the town was increased to a 1-mile diameter from the courthouse. The rural farming areas of the county, where the bulk of the citizens lived, were creating their own identities.
A post office was established in the Little River area in 1836. William Deal was the first postmaster. The area became known as Deal's Mills.
In 1837, a post office was established at the Johns River store, owned by James Collett.
By 1846, there were post offices at Catawba View, Copenhagen, Fort Defiance, Globe, Lenoir, Little River, Lovelady, and Wittenberg. And Wittenberg would become a part of Alexander County in 1847.
William Deal's farm in Little River is an example of a small, self-sufficient plantation. The Deal plantation had a mill, a blacksmith shop, a tannery, a sawmill, a woodworking shop, and a loom for turning wool into cloth. Deal also had horses, cattle, and sheep, and all of the associated outbuildings. The Yadkin River area had several larger plantations: Fort Defiance, Palmyra, and Clover Hill, to name a few. Labor on these farms was furnished by both tenant farmers and slaves. In 1850, 185 families in Caldwell County owned 1,200 slaves. The majority of the slaveholders lived along the Yadkin River. Several rural communities would become municipalities in the 20th century. One man dreamed of a town he would not live to see.
Abner Summers moved from Iredell County to what would become Caldwell County about 1835. With his father-in-law, James M. Bogle, he formed a partnership called A. Summers and Company. They built a store in what is now the Granite Falls area. Summers planned to build a town around the store to be named Summerville.
Summers bought more land and took up farming in addition to storekeeping. He eventually bought out his partners, closed the store, and devoted himself to the plantation. Meanwhile, Samuel G.H. Jones opened a store nearby that would become the nucleus of a new town. The town would be named Granite Falls, not Summerville. Industry as it is known today did not exist in Caldwell County. Self-sufficient people learned many skills, one of which was making furniture. The abundance of trees and the skills honed by turning wood into furniture would eventually give rise to an industry.
North of Lenoir in what is now Patterson, Samuel Patterson, along with Edmund Jones, James C. Harper, and James Harper, built the county's first cotton mill, powered with water from the Yadkin River.
A village grew up around the mill. James C. Harper built a home nearby and took over the management of the mill. From the early years, Caldwell County's leaders were interested in education. Before the county was formed, James Harper had built a log building on his Fairfield plantation for both a church and a school. After the building was no longer used as a church, Nathaniel P. Rankin established a school there. In the late 1840s, Miss Emma Baker, a British schoolteacher, established Montrose Academy on North Main Street.
In 1839, 2 years before the formation of Caldwell County, the General Assembly of North Carolina enacted a bill that provided for the establishment of public schools in each county. At the second session of the Court of Pleas and Quarter Sessions in July of 1841, the Justice appointed superintendents of common schools.
In August, the superintendents divided the county into 31 school districts. They appointed committees to manage each school. The superintendents apportioned state funds to the schools and created new school districts as needed. If a community had at least 25 students and was willing to furnish a building, the county would provide a teacher. By 1860, Caldwell County had 46 school districts. In 1855, several citizens of Lenoir and Caldwell County began planning for a college for young women.
In his diary, James C. Harper, nephew of my great-great-grandfather, made the following entry for March the 3rd, 1855. Pleasant after a cold morning. Went to Lenoir today and met with the building committee of Davenport Female College. We concluded to proceed with the building.
A fundraising drive was launched. Soon there were sufficient monies to begin construction. Colonel William Davenport pledged the largest amount. In recognition, the institution was named Davenport College.
Went to Lenoir and met building committee of college. Gave Uriah Cloyd the contract.
Management of the school was given to the South Carolina Conference of the Methodist Episcopal Church South. In July of 1858, Davenport College enrolled its first class. Davenport College had a profound influence on the community. Following the school's opening, the sale of alcohol was prohibited within the town limits, causing at least 4 establishments to close or change the nature of their business. The town experienced an explosion of artistic and cultural activities. Lenoir would later become known regionally as the Athens of the South. An article in the centennial edition of the Lenoir News Topic stated,
"There's a sort of glamour about the course of study with the thought of pretty girls in hoop skirts playing Listen to the Mockingbird on guitars and walking under the oaks."
The years leading to the Civil War were times of growth and prosperity for Lenoir. By 1860, the town's population doubled to 250 from 125 in 1850. A growing population meant new construction, residential and commercial. Buildings now stood on 7 more lots.
Samuel K. Hartley built a wooden store in his house on Lot 5 in 1858.
In the early 1850s, Gustav Westman, a native of Switzerland, opened a store on lot number 6.
Levi Hartley, Samuel's father, built a rental house on Lot 18. James Harper built a rental house on Town Lot 29, both much in demand since there were few rental properties available. The Jones brothers' doctor's shop was on Lot 27. James L. Heelan built a tannery on Lot 32, overflowing into the property now known as the Old East Harper School. Nero G. Bradford erected a large home on Lot 48. This house became the residence of the early presidents of Davenport College. Other homes and businesses were built outside the western and northern town limits. By 1860, there were three churches: a Methodist, a Presbyterian, and an Episcopal in the town of Lenoir. Lower Creek Baptist Church, founded in 1826, was located east of town. In 1859, the Presbyterian congregation built a church just outside the northwestern boundary of the town. They had been meeting at Fairfield Church since 1852. The First Presbyterian Church of Lenoir stands there today.
Baptists had established themselves in the rural areas before the formation of the county. Churches were located on the Yadkin River, on Kings Creek, on the North Catawba, on Gunpowder Creek, on Little River, and in the Globe. And Baptist churches were organized in Collinsville in 1843, Buffalo Cove in 1851, Mulberry in 1853, and Dudley Shoals in 1861. Collier's Church was founded by the Methodists southwest of Lenoir at the Marvin Campground in 1836.
The 20 years from 1841 to 1861 saw Caldwell County and Lenoir transformed from virgin forest to a thriving county and town. The county's population had grown to 7,497 in 1860. Included in that number were 114 free blacks and 1,088 slaves. The future appeared to be unlimited, but that outlook was about to change. Events loomed that would test the endurance of the county and the young town almost beyond their ability to survive. Caldwell County, along with North Carolina and her sister states, was about to be drawn into the greatest conflict the United States would ever face: the war between the states.
One, two, three, four. Wave your crown and clap for me. Birds off all light, crickets in the grass, dandelions twirl and float right past. In the pale blue light of a fairy ring, children will dance and we'll all sing, while the golden moon glides and shines. We'll celebrate the harvest time. Pin oaks sway, chestnuts fall. It's an invitation to the autumn ball. Comes once a year when the squirrels gather nuts, the wind turns chill and the scarecrow struts. In the pale blue light of a fairy ring, children will dance and we'll all sing, while a golden moon glides and shines. We'll celebrate harvest time. The apples are sweet, the pumpkins prime, ready to pick fresh from the vine. I'll follow you, you take the lead. Run ahead, tell me, what do you see? Hay grows high, blackbirds call, to the dance come one and all. Grab your honey, sing and shout, we'll step in time till the stars burn out. In the pale blue light of a fairy ring, children will dance and we'll all sing, while the golden moon glides and shines. We'll celebrate harvest time. Wild geese fly, persimmons plop, these dances made we cannot stop. I'll dance with you, you dance with me, we'll rattle and shake the sweet gum tree.